He's got a
and
million
look
of
at that. It says we're live.
Yeah.
All right.
Much to the disappointment of the internet.
Well, let's see. But
Well, I don't see us yet. Wait,
yeah, I think
videos.
At least with the OBS thing, there was a couple seconds delay.
Yeah, because I did this just testing by myself earlier today, and it was a few seconds behind, but not terribly far behind. But I was able to go on to my page and find the stream.
When you went to your page, did you go to the videos tab on
Yeah.
your page? Okay.
And then the live stream thing from there.
Yeah.
It's quite possible that people will find this though, because
they might.
It
Yeah.
might ping people as soon as it goes live.
So
Hello, people.
That's possible. It's all right.
you're
I
seeing
think we
live
should.
stream. This is
I think when the stream is up, we need to post this to Twitter and stuff.
Yeah, I think that is. correct.
Why is it not coming up?
On Twitter?
Grr.
Okay.
Is it because I have multiple Google accounts? I mean, I picked RCR when it said which one to log into.
That should be
no.
that should be it.
No, it says up here, RCR, you are live. I don't believe it. No,
Does it actually say, I don't believe it?
no, I said that.
Oh, something. Okay.
Okay.
I heard a
and
chime.
my Windows computer just decided to reinstall a driver that it already has installed. So thank you for that.
Classic Windows.
Appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any stream yet.
What need we do?
I don't know.
What we need do? Oh,
What do we need?
I have a click here for view on YouTube.
Okay.
Okay.
What we need do? Oh,
What do we need?
I have a click here for view on YouTube.
Oh, okay. That's
Okay.
cool. So now,
What we need do?
So now everything's looping.
What do we need? Oh my God,
Click
the
here
looping.
for-
What's happening?
Oh,
Groundhog's Day.
What we need do?
So now,
What do we need? Oh my
this
God,
is really quite.
the looping. What's happening?
Oh,
All right, I killed it.
I liked it though. It was very, very Halloween-like.
That was Inception.
Oh man,
Okay.
Well,
that was the best.
we are live. I don't
Are we?
know.
Somewhere.
Yeah, we are live. You
Just-
can't find it. But
There's there's no evidence of us being live, but we are live.
Oh,
we
wait.
are.
There in the live comments, there is a comment from Earl.
From me?
Yes, that gives a YouTube link. Is that actually it?
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
posted away.
Yeah, that's the one. If you click on that, then you'll see that we're live.
That's us.
Oh, I have to mute this, or I'm going to go insane.
Yep.
I don't know if it'll push it through. I had to
There it is. Cool.
remess up my audio right before the show. That's probably why we were getting that looping. Sorry about that. I'll get
Well,
this.
yeah, probably you
Well,
brought
there's
up
a delay.
you brought up the video on YouTube, and then that was feeding back into your system somehow.
Right. Yeah, it's the way that I got
Sometimes.
this mixer set up. I'll have it sorted by next time. I promise.
Here 202 recording. Now,
So
if you
yeah,
want.
if I knew we were going to do this, because I don't have a webcam on this computer. This is my desktop.
Draw us a picture.
My next-
yeah.
Like,
do
we'll
that
see you
and then
flipbook
share the
style.
screen. Earl
Can I
forgot
put up a static image?
webcam. Well, you can share your screen, so you could share a screen of a static image, I suppose, or
Yeah, that'll work.
what you're looking at. Just look.
Oh, okay.
Just
I've
be
been a
careful what you're
static
looking at.
image this whole time.
Hang on.
I think somebody should post this on Twitter.
I did.
You did. Awesome.
Yeah.
Exciting times.
All right.
Now I'm confused. Okay, I'm looking at the YouTube page.
Yeah. Although I don't know how to know if somebody's watching.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't know.
Yeah. I think
I don't know how the like we have this live comments. Where does that come from? Is that from
Oh.
YouTube?
Oh, people on YouTube.
Are those comments from people watching on YouTube but get pulled back into this? Maybe.
I don't know. I just commented in YouTube,
Oh, there it is. You comment on YouTube and
and it didn't show up in the StreamYard.
not yet. But Earl's comment is the same. YouTube. YouTube is a much better name.
That's right. Much cleaner.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Abby is there. We have a listener,
That's
We
excellent.
apologize.
the viewer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. We can see how this goes. This is probably a little ridiculous. I don't have anything to show. Because, like, I don't have anything at home. My little IXO thing. Oh, the comments did show up.
Yeah, the comments filter back into our StreamYard thing, but delayed by half minute maybe. It's not too bad.
Where's the thing? I was showing it to my microphone.
All right, should we get this thing started? Actually,
Perhaps. Are you there?
yeah. What happened to Earl? He's gone very quiet.
Yeah, I'm here. And
okay.
He's drawing a picture of himself. He is.
There he is.
Excellent.
Hey, why did you draw a picture of me?
All right. Cool.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So that's good. So we don't need to watch the YouTube page. We can watch the StreamYard
Yes.
page.
We can just
Come
live
on,
in
I see.
StreamYard.
so who's
Right, so,
hosting?
so someone says something important in the chat, then pass it on. I may not be looking at it.
Okay.
I think I'm going to close the Google Doc chat too.
Wait, if somebody chats in YouTube, we see it here? That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
And trees fall in the forests, and it's just crazy.
Did somebody else put a chat besides us? I think I see somebody else. Hi.
Yep.
Hope you're not
Yes.
too disappointed.
Yeah.
Do we know
Okay,
who
so,
posted?
so is it the case that well, now I want to look at the YouTube again. Is it just Earl? Are we just looking at Earl's picture?
Yes, and
I
we're,
believe so.
So we're off to the side. This
Well,
think
Earl,
that's
I
probably
guess
fine.
Earl, because you're sharing your screen, it takes over the bulk of the view,
Oh, no.
and we're all relegated to thumbnails.
See, Earl, what you're seeing right in front of you is what we're seeing.
That's not okay.
Oh well.
All right, we're going to this. I'll have a webcam next time.
Okay, good.
Cool.
Is everybody recording their end of things?
I can't record my Audacity this time because I'm getting feed. I get everything on my
You get
Audacity.
looped.
You
right.
guys and me. So
Oh, you have it done. I think that's just a setting for pass through. But I am now recording. I'm glad you reminded me because I had forgotten.
And I'm recording mine, and
Oh, my levels are a bit low though. There, that's better.
That's
Close out
never.
some other stuff.
Nobody wants a
you're
low
usually
level
probably-
Carrington.
No, you're usually right up there, right up there at the top.
Yep.
Do you compress it before you send it to me?
Nope. I give you the raw feed
Yep. Okay.
live, hitting the 0 dB, baby.
So, Earl, does this mean you won't have a local recording, or
I will not have a local recording.
We
Is that
go,
gonna-
Earl.
Is that going to throw things off?
Yes, it is.
well, we don't have.
But only for Paul.
since we don't have Skype, we don't have call recorder either. So
Oh,
we have only what you record.
do you just want to like?
Bye,
take the
YouTube.
audio- You want to take the audio off the YouTube?
We could. You're gonna sound. Remote. But,
or
that's-
Paul, you and Earl could start a Skype conversation, just the two of you, that you don't listen to, just record.
This is going to go well.
Well, that's true. We could do that. We could do that.
Oh my! Hang on a
So
minute.
really, so Audacity can't take over your microphone too. You need to start using a Mac. That's weird. So what's the symptom? Like, why does it not work now?
Because I had to change my audio hardware. I had to
I see. Okay.
switch to my USB mixer, which for
Got it.
some reason, for it to allow me to hear what is coming out of you guys, I also have to hear me.
You don't want to hear what's coming out of us, guys.
Well, I do. It's kind of a weird conversation if I just sit here and randomly talk. I think they called that retrobits. So I don't
I can try the
think
Skype
I
thing.
can.
I will try audio
So
Skyping.
check. Okay, that's me. Now somebody else talk.
Hello.
Hello.
This is me talking. It's not you.
Hey, I got it.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, okay. So we don't need the Skype
Nice.
thing.
Okay.
That
So now you
problem
can
solved.
record your end. Is that correct?
I
Earl?
can. I
Yes.
had to hit the right buttons.
Woo.
They have been hit hard.
Okay. All right. Am I prepared? I'm not.
Just so you guys know, I was checking my levels, recording in a couple of other things at the same time, including Sound Studio, which was showing me the input volume, which was moving all over the place. Because with StreamYard open, by default, it will turn on auto gain control. So it's going to be moving your volume up and down as it sees fit.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. There's a setting. It says if you have a good mic and headset, then
Disable auto processing. So like audio processing. So I think we want to do that.
Wait, what are you guys recording in?
I'm recording an audio hijack.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
audio hijack and a backup in Sound Studio. And both of them were having their gain control move around. I would move it up, it would move it back down. And as Paul knows, I like to give you a hot signal. Hot. Carrington's coming in hot.
Always.
Oh,
But where is this auto gain control? Because I don't see it. I'm in audio.
we're
hijack.
not gonna tell you in the
Settings.
settings in StreamYard. This makes for great television.
Oh, in the settings in StreamYard.
Yeah,
Okay.
StreamYard. Disable audio processing.
Ah,
Okay, I've done that.
You
I'm
show
so
it
glad
who's
I tweeted this
boss.
out.
Yes. Okay.
Please come join us while we figure out our audio hardware.
Process this.
Like and subscribe. Or...
Exciting.
And if you don't like it, you know what to do.
Yeah. Write a review on iTunes, I think.
All right, so what's the
Okay.
deal? I think we're actually ready.
I
Are
think
we
so.
all recording?
I have a battery-powered earpiece, which means that at some point, randomly, I will stop being able to hear anybody. When the battery
Oh,
runs out.
okay. So
call.
basically, the symptom I was talking about earlier. You couldn't hear the stuff coming out of us. Yeah.
I love it, and I love all of you guys.
I love you too, man.
This is the way to do things. I love it.
There's a lot of
I'm gonna-
love
I'm
in this
gonna
room.
The
At
chaos,
some point, I'm
embrace
going
it.
to try to like swap out in the other ear, and we'll see if that just like causes my whole computer to pause. It might.
Actually, it probably will. Yeah, I think when you pull it out, it's going to do an audio pause. So it'll pause your recording, definitely.
That's cool.
All right. So,
Well,
dear
let's
viewers,
just try this. Let's
I'm,
just try
I'm
this.
sure.
Yeah, just try it now because then you'll see how much it's going to affect you later when you edit.
Yeah. All right. So I'm okay.
Maybe put the second one in before you take the first one out.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good technique,
Shake
Paul.
it
I
all
like
out.
it. Hot swap.
All right.
You should change your name to Hot Swap.
Okay.
In the settings, I'll be changing my name throughout the show.
Oh, I don't think I can. Where? Remove
What?
from
You go to
stream.
settings and
You
just
must
change.
be able to.
Oh, I guess you can't after you started streaming. Oh, I am Chairface Chippendale for the duration. I'm okay with this.
It's all right.
All right. Maybe I'll open just a little bit.
I'd also like to apologize to Abby Jones.
Yeah, for, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Who found
I
us
guess-
somehow, even though we couldn't find our own live stream.
It's because
well,
I gave her
I
the
tweeted
link.
it.
Oh, okay.
On YouTube.
Yeah.
I gave her the YouTube link.
I
Straight
think it
up.
was on Twit.
Yeah.
What did you call me?
Twirt.
All right.
So shall we do the show?
Yeah. Let's. Do
I
this.
say
Let's,
Yes.
okay. I can edit out whatever clicks I am making. Stop. Okay.
Paul, you look like you just sneezed on me.
Oh, actually, for me, you're over there.
Yes, you just pointed at me. For me, I'm over there too, but that's the way you faced.
Oh, you're right.
I'd like to see you guys try and
See, I
like
went-
virtually high five each other. Like
Come on, Paul, give me
Where are you? Okay.
Jack is playing us like a puppet master.
All right.
Earl, poking you.
I don't feel it.
It's November 3rd, 2019, and welcome to episode 202 of the Retro Computing Roundtable. The RCR is a podcast about retro computer news, nostalgia, collecting, audio shenanigans while we try to stream, and other such things. Anyway, whatever. I am Paul Hegstrom in Boston, and on YouTube. I'm joined today by Carrington Vanston in Toronto. How are you?
Hello, Paul.
Hello.
I waved at Paul because it makes great audio.
Yes, if we were watching, we are attempting to stream the recording of this as it goes, and that is going to be completely distracting, I am sure. But so also joining me, to just above me, is Jack Nutting in Stockholm.
Yes, hello, Paul. Yes, I am just above you.
Yes. And also joining us from Portland is Earl Evans, who has forgotten his webcam.
That's right. So I'm joining anonymously.
That's right.
As far as we know, it's Earl.
At any rate, yes. So this we're trying this streaming experiment to see if that is interesting. So we can actually, you could participate as we record, in principle. If it turns out that this just makes for terrible audio, maybe we'll stop doing this.
No, we will not.
This is a lot of fun. I feel like I'm on the Hollywood Squares.
That's right. Yeah. Is that still a thing? Does that still exist?
I don't know.
Almost certainly it is not. But we are a retro podcast, so
That's right.
it's all good.
We are old and remember these things.
Jack Nutting for the win.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so I am the host, and there is a host topic, and the host topic was provided by Brian on Facebook some time ago. It is to mod or not to mod, with respect to vintage hardware. So people will post videos where they do, modifications of their computers. Maybe you have done some in the past. Sometimes people will retrobyte things, and often people will get downvoted for those if they do something non-reversible. What do you think about that sort of mod? Reversible, non-reversible? What do you think of retrobyte? All kinds of things we could talk about. Many of the things we have talked about, I think, before, but not in exactly this form. So, what do we think? I don't know. Earl, what do you think about this? You said you had some thoughts.
Well, I do. If you're talking about retrobyte, then you're probably talking about a computer case that has yellowed quite badly. And so the worst you're going to do is just come up with a patchwork or something like that, right? I mean, it's a non-reversible modification, I suppose, but the worst that's going to happen is that you're going to make things kind of weird, but you're probably not going to make them any worse. I'm okay with retrobyting. If you're talking about making mods to the computer that are going to permanently change it, like drilling holes in the case or making changes to the main board or something like that, then I guess my opinions are mixed. So I think it was Randy off of Floppy Days just a while back that was talking about an Atari 800 he had that he had really modded like crazy, but then found himself wanting just a generic Atari 800. So he had to get another one. So I guess that's the thing too, is how rare is the computer that you're modding? If you're modding something like a Commodore 64 or an Atari 800, something like that where there's a lot of them, it's probably okay. If you're modding something that is really rare, really collectible, and, there's only so many of them and you're going to basically change it forever, then I might think twice about doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess they can, like some of the mods can make things such that you can use them. I mean, like, so a modern modification that allows you to, plug into, so you don't have to use channel 3 on your VHF TV. I could see that being, it depends on what the feature of this device is. If the feature of this device is you are going to use it to play your games or whatever, not give it to a museum or, I don't know, demo it, then it sort of seems like better to be able to use it than not. So I can see some kind of arguments for reversible things, but I kind of hate the idea. I don't know. Carrington, what do you think?
I'm going to have unpopular opinions because that's what I do. That's what I bring to this roundtable. I rail against the fact that I don't own most of the things I own. On Twitter recently, I think it was with Benj or somebody, we were talking about how when you buy Apple movies online, sometimes you just can't play them if you don't have an active credit card, or like you don't really own anything you buy anymore. Because of DRM, because of not being able to modify stuff in various ways, things being locked down. And I rail against that. I really don't like that. I want the right to be able to destroy anything I own. I became interested in tech because I took apart my family's electronics that I did not own, and I ruined them, and I got in trouble for it. But still, it made me the person I am today, and I like the guy I am today. I'm awesome. So I think people, like, if it comes down to, like, should you mod things or not, I think you shouldn't mod other people's stuff without letting them know. Like, I shouldn't sneak into Earl's house and mod his stuff. So I'm gonna take a hard pass on that. But I think even if something is incredibly rare, too bad you own it. Do anything you want with it. I might not want you to if it was the last thing in the world and it's something that I was hoping to possess. But if I'm not going to possess it from you, what do I care what you do with it? So it's kind of one of those, it's none of my business things. I'm interested in retro computer body autonomy is, I guess, the stance I'm taking. I think you should go ahead and destroy anything. And other nerds, especially collectors, and you can look behind me and see what kind of a collector I am, that are going to be upset at you regardless because you're not doing the thing that they think you should do with the stuff that you have. And too bad. Who cares? I think it's perfectly fine to mod something. I think it's perfectly fine to gut it. I think it's perfectly fine to do that even if it's rare. And too bad. Do it for the clicks. Do it for the lols. Do it for whatever. If it makes you happy, maybe you'll do it and regret it. But that's on you. That's like getting a tattoo. I got a tattoo. I'm trying to show you. I can't. Where's my camera? I swear, there's a tattoo. You just can't see it. There. Twist. There. But I don't regret it. But maybe I would have. Yeah, too bad. In my arm, my business. So I think you should mod the heck out of anything you want, even if it's rare. Some of my eBay choices I'll be picking for later in the show include a couple of options. Like here's a thing that's rare. Here's like another version of it that's not rare in case you want to mod it. So it's kind of interesting that this topic came up. But curmudgeonly, I think anybody should go ahead without hesitation and mod the heck out of everything on whim, because interesting stuff can come from it. So there.
Well, it's interesting. The way you interpreted the question was different than I did. I didn't interpret the question as should I or should I not mod it based on what the retro community thinks. I kind of interpreted the question as should I or should I not mod it based on whether I'm going to regret it in the future, whether I'm going to look at that and go, ooh, that was a rare XYZ 102 and I can never find another XYZ 102. And
but how will you know what you'll regret? That's the future.
Well, you don't know. You don't know.
So go ahead and mod. Do it. Do it right now. Get your camera working, Earl, and mod some stuff for us.
Yeah, at least get the camera working first.
Mod your camera.
Jack, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm pro modding stuff in general. And for me, one of the main reasons is, back in the day when we had computers that weren't as powerful as they are now, like, we did mod things, right, to make things better. Like that was, I remember when I was in like junior high, and like that was kind of whenever I would discuss with my friends who had Apple IIs, like that was sort of their whole point of, yeah, this computer is way more expensive than your computer, but look, I can open up the case, I can put cards in, I can do things to it pretty easily. And like I know that my first Atari 400, once I started using it, I realized, oh, this thing is kind of unusable. I've got to actually put in a keyboard that actually works, and I've got to add some more RAM so that I can use it. And like, if I had access to a good composite monitor at the time, and there was a readily available mod that would let me add a composite output to that, I would have done it in a heartbeat. Like, no question. So to me, it's like modding things to make them work better with the environment that you're in now only makes it more useful to you, and also it gives it a bit of a story, and it gives it a bit of an interesting thing. And it's sort of like, if the only thing I see now and then people posting, oh, I picked up an Atari, whatever, and how to make it work with my modern LCD TV, and often the answer is, well, you can't. Like if all it has is RF output that signal's too weak. A lot of TVs won't pick it up these days. If you're maybe you don't even have a TV that has an RF input. Like, who knows?
Okay, I have a
I
question
think
for you, Jack, though. What about modding it not to be more useful, but like gutting it for an art project? What about getting an old Macintosh and ripping out all the insides, throwing them out, and making an aquarium or an art piece or something? Like that kind of mod. What about mods that don't make it more functional in a traditional way, but sort of literally destroy it or make it into something else?
I
What's
think
your stance
that's
on
fine.
that?
I think that's fine too, because you're at least doing it with the intention of making something that is interesting in some way, at least to you. Whereas consider how many old Macs have just been thrown away, have just been completely discarded, you know, apart from being gutted, just like actually been like smashed and ripped to pieces and gone. Like, it's better to take something and, okay, if this thing is broken and I don't have a good use for it besides making an aquarium, then like, why not go ahead? And again, I think, yeah, it does hang. It does. I tend to hew a bit towards what Earl's saying. Like, if it is like the only one, then might be a shame. But like, how often is that we have the only one of something? All these things that are rare cost tens of thousands of dollars. So I'm not going to make that rare thing into an aquarium, probably. But again, what you're saying also, Carrington, if I wanted to, if I paid the money for it and I want to turn it into an aquarium, fine.
Even if the nerds will be angry at you?
Yeah, even
Shake our little nerd fists?
Screw them.
I mean, I guess
Screw you nerds.
I really thought I was going to be the only one taking the stance. I might change my
one
stance.
kind of circumstance that this can happen in where I'm not so comfortable with it is if the person who's doing it, so like making an aquarium or making a YouTube video to try to get clicks by destroying something, or whatever. If the person who's doing it doesn't really understand what they have, that I think is a little distressing. So like there's one video that I've seen at some point. I almost have shut it out of my mind because I don't want to think about it. But it was basically someone like took a 2E or something and like smashed it with a hammer or something like that. I was like, well, that's cool. But the problem is that inside it was a very rare card. And the kid had no idea,
Right.
they didn't, this was something, this is like, grandpa's old computer or whatever, not, considered to be junk and, more entertaining to hit with a hammer. And I
The
sort of
computer,
feel
not
like-
grandpa.
Right.
Just so we're clear.
Right. It was the computer. However, but I mean, so it would be one thing if the kid knew, all right, I have this rare card, I'm going to break it for the clicks, rather than, I have this piece of garbage. It doesn't matter. Nobody wants any of these things anyway. My watch does more. So that kind of rides the line. I mean, like I sort of feel like, at least if the person knew what they were doing, then okay, whatever. That's their thing to do. I can be a little sad. I suppose I'm not sure that I can be angry. I can click sadly on the downvote button.
It's kind of like whenever a few years ago when Apple released some new iPhone that people found, oh, this phone can bend and break easily. I think it was like the 6 Plus or whatever. People were like, hey, I had my phone in my back pocket and suddenly it bent and the case opens up. And I remember there was a YouTube video shortly after that where somebody who had enough money to burn just like bought one of these phones and just like proceeded to bend it on camera until it broke. Right. And it's sort of the line between that, like they knew what they were doing. It was not like a question, and they had the budget for it. And I'm sure it was for the clicks, right? They know they're going to get the money back, right? So, but it's the line between that and seeing someone who has a brand new phone that they just like casually drop into a storm ditch, like, or like, just don't like, what is this? I don't even know.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably closer to your position than you think, though, Carrington, because I was thinking
I've won you
about,
over.
about my eBay auction that we'll talk about later, is actually where somebody has taken a retro item and has completely changed the aesthetic of it. So it didn't actually make it more functional. It didn't destroy it, but on the other hand, it completely changed it. So you've got this thing that, now is different, like forever. And I looked at that and I was like, oh, that is so totally cool. That looks cool. So, I'm okay with doing that mod if it makes it better for you.
I guess my problem is in general, this hobby, like a lot of things that I like, has so much gatekeeping in it. So many people calling others fake geeks, fake whatever. And so I guess I get my back up instantly when somebody's saying, oh, you shouldn't do that because like you don't know it as much as I do. So I guess I get I don't know. I see myself sitting in such a position of privilege sometimes that I'm like, well, hold on. Like, how do I know what other people should do? I shouldn't have the right to tell somebody what to do. But at the same time, I realize a lot of my urges come from this need for chaos, right? So of course I'm advocating to destroy and mod things because like that's like I'm a force of chaos. And I think what I've done is convince you all it's okay to destroy your own collections, which on the next show we should do live on camera.
That's right.
It's sledgehammer time.
Excellent. At the same time, though, I think people shouldn't be. It's like I believe in free speech, but I don't believe that means you don't have any consequences from what you do. So same thing, like you can destroy a thing, and you should totally have the right to do that. But if your YouTube comments are then filled with people pointing out that you're an idiot and you just wasted $100,000, well, that's on you, man. Like, too bad. So I don't think there should be consequence-free actions. I just think there
Agreed.
should be free actions.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of times just even apart from the outside opinion, I fight with this, just looking at my own things, trying to decide like what are the odds that I'm going to successfully make this mod and then not wish that I couldn't. So any kind of reversible thing I like a lot better. But
That's a good point.
yeah. All right. I don't know. Are there more things we should say about this? Maybe we've kind of covered the bases.
Well, I will say one more thing.
Mhm.
If you have a retro computer and unmodded, you're not going to use it. It's just going to sit in a corner for 7 years, gather dust, get all closet rotted. You're going to take it out someday and turn it on. It doesn't work anymore because, cosmic rays and stuff. I would rather see somebody mod their computer and use it and have fun with it for those years rather than just have it sit in the corner because that thing's no fun to use. I don't want to wait 2 hours to load something from tape or, whatever. So yeah,
Or type on an Atari 400.
right. Well, and the Atari 400 is an interesting one too, because that was a mod that people made back in the day, not just modern. I mean, there were all kinds of aftermarket keyboards for the Atari 400. So I don't know. If you're doing that, you're probably not doing something that is that different than what we did in the 80s, but that's a whole nother story. But I'm just saying, if you're not going to use it, if it's just going to sit there and you're going to regret, that loss of fun later, then yeah, mod the heck out of it.
Cool. Okay. I just realized that it's me that's supposed to talk next. So, okay. So we'll leave the topic there, but if you have other thoughts or further agreement with Carrington, you can email us at
Or disagreement, which is much more fun. I'd love to hear if somebody, like if a listener has done a mod that they regret, I'd love an example of that, because maybe it'd be easier for me to understand if I could like get a concrete example. Or if somebody's done a mod that they didn't necessarily regret, but then went like horribly wrong. That'd be a fun story too. Like they modded something and it resulted in complete destruction or embarrassment. I want to hear your embarrassing stories.
That's right. Yeah. The house burned down and took the whole division with it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, let's see. So we also have some listener feedback. I haven't been exhaustive in gathering it, so I have a few things that I collected, and there are more, and we'll get to those later. But the ones that I collected, Dominic wrote over email to tell us about the military no longer using 8-inch discs, and that makes perfect sense. We talked about that last time, but that previous episode is not on the feed yet. So,
I thought that sounded familiar. I'm like, wait, didn't we talk about this? Yes, we did.
We did.
Or we
both
will.
Tried to put it in the. We will have talked about this.
Excellent.
Jason wrote over email to say that he's been sort of catching up. You can sort of tell at what era he's been catching up in, because he says we talk about lemons a lot.
I remember that period.
That's right. It's our lemon phase. But also he does a bunch of interesting stuff in the Atari 8-bit world. And I don't know, Jack, if you had a chance to look at this and if you know some of these things, but he's written a How Not to Learn Assembler column in the latest edition of Pro C Atari magazine. Do you know Pro C?
Yes, well, I know it
Or
enough
Proc,
that I don't know if it's called Pro C or Proc.
Right.
There's been discussion about this. I'm familiar with the magazine. I haven't seen this though. I'm just looking at this email right now, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I can't really say any more about this specifically, unfortunately.
Sure. but it is. He says it's a 100-page printed Atari magazine in 2019, so that's cool.
That is very cool. Although I think from like looking at my personal history, I think I already know how to not learn assembler.
Been
I've got that
practicing for years.
nailed.
But yeah, so he says he's also written his fourth 6502 assembler game. So in 6502 assembler, the fourth of these, not in fourth. A scrolling platformer, block on legs, first steps.
Very impressive.
I see. Yeah.
Very nice.
So we'll have a link to the Proc or Pro C Atari magazine in the show notes, and he also runs the 8-bit Atari High Score Club. So if you on Atari Age, so you may well have run across him in various ways. Thank you for listening, and go
Yes,
check out
this is,
all of Jason's things.
Jason is the real Bounty Bob on Atari Age,
Cool.
Okay.
which a username that I do recognize.
Oh, okay. Bounty Bob is the minor 2049er
Yep.
person, right?
Yep. That's right.
Cool. Let's see. Kevin wrote over email to tell us about a Sega light gun replacement that he made in the spirit of the Terminator movies, and it works. I don't have the link up in front of me, but it works on a T2 game or something like that. And so I didn't watch it all the way through, but apparently it is something that you can use to use the light gun on like an LCD display.
Excellent. Nice. Because, yeah, that's one of the downsides to most of those is they will only work on old CRTs. So that's very cool.
Yep, he's
Yeah,
made
so-
a really cool video where he shows how it works and stuff. A lot of interesting diagrams. and how
Impressive.
things work. It's very, very nice, and it also looks really badass. It's a very cool thing he's made. So
He also mentioned in his email that he's listened to every show multiple times. The pain that must have caused, I don't know, but we're impressed at least. I'm not sure if delighted or not, but thank you for listening though, and for writing in.
Yep.
It is a neat thing. I'm looking forward to actually like watching that video through. Okay. Anyway, so that's what I've marked down in the listener feedback category. I will try to catch up on the backlog. We have a couple of months of backlog that I haven't fully caught up on. But now we can turn to the items of interest and news. And Carrington, you have the first one.
First one is a new game for the Apple II, which is always very exciting. This is called Spell Wielder, and it's published by, I love this name, Crow Cousins, which is a terrific name, and they have a terrific logo. It's donationware, so you can go online and grab it right now and then give up a few bucks if you like it. It's an open-ended action adventure game, so you get to walk around big open world and cast spells and fight a big boss eventually, and super cool. I have downloaded it, but I've not yet played it, so can't give a full-on review. But there's a video on the site we'll link to, the Crow Cousins site, that shows you some image or some video of what gameplay looks like, and it looks totally sweet and with really cool graphics, and it can be played by joystick or keyboard, and it's Mockingboard compatible and everything. So this is like a hardcore, very cool game out for the Apple II. Hooray for new games.
cool.
Very interesting.
I clicked
Yeah.
the video. It looks really neat.
Yep, and you have to answer riddles. Like there's a typing thing, and it says it's like speak, which is used to answer riddles. I'm like, that is very enticing. I think this is going to be a very awesome game, and I am very much looking forward to playing it.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's always kind of neat when someone puts together something this large scale new.
Right.
So, all right. Well, yeah, I guess there are a number of these things that.
And the Crow Cousins
behind
site and their logo and like everything about it has a real feel of the old Beagle Brothers stuff, like that old fashioned kind of look. Like there's a Beagle Brothers style. All the Crow Cousins stuff seems to have that kind of feel to it, and so that endeared me to it right away.
Oh, you're right. I just hit play on the video and I see that that is definitely borrowed.
Yep.
We can say from the Beagle Brothers logo, or it might be Beagle Bros. I'm not.
I always used to say Beagle Bros. Actually, I don't know where Beagle Brothers came from. Just trying to mess with you guys.
I mean, I keep saying Beagle Brothers
Beagle Bros.
whenever I say it, but it's never written that way. I mean, it's always BROS dot.
Actually, I don't know how often I've pronounced it out loud. Now that I come to think of it, I don't even know how I say it. Who knows what I say?
You walk around the grocery store saying this is my Beagle Brothers bag. And then here's-
This is my boomstick. Right, exactly. Will you be my friend? So far, answer is resounding silence.
All right. Okay. Let's see. Jack, you have the next thing. More 6502. I think it's like 6502 all the way through here.
Yeah, well, that's just our whole thing. I'm actually gonna try something. I'm gonna try hitting share screen on this. So
Fancy man.
this is gonna be nuts. Are you
Alright.
guys ready for this? I don't know if I'm ready for this.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Prepare
Team
yourself, audio listeners.
6502 is a website focused on, guess what? The team that built the 6502. And it looks kind of interesting. I think it's maybe not quite done. I feel like it's a work in progress, but there are a lot of cool pictures of people and circuit diagrams and things. There are little bios of certain members of the team, talking about what they did. There are a few things I know that under like Chuck Peddle, it included some links to a couple of YouTube videos and things. It looks pretty interesting. And there's also a shop. So on the shop, you can like buy some nice 6502 t-shirts and hoodies and tote bags and laptop cases, and it's all very exciting.
That's cool.
That is super
So-
neat. For the viewers on YouTube, Earl, I think you're in control of this. Jack, did you share the screen or the tab?
I did.
I think it only gets visible if, Earl, you allow it to happen.
Oh, maybe it has
Oh.
to allow it.
What do I need to do?
You're
I
the
can do
dude in
that?
charge. You need to
Yeah, I
step
don't
up
see
and
what to
be in
click.
charge with iron fist.
I guess you have to do something, but I don't know what.
Yeah. I think so. When I did a share screen, this is welcome to the part that is edited out of the podcast.
Oh, Earl's now made himself big again.
That's right.
Big man Earl.
He's exerting his influence. What was I trying to say? I don't know. Oh yeah, when I shared my screen, that gave me sort of like two different things that
Yep.
could be chosen between. So I think whoever's in charge of this, Earl, I guess, is running the whole show. So you have
Yeah, I
to
think
choose
Earl
what
has to
people
click
see.
something if it's going to appear. But anyway,
Oh, there it is.
oh, look, there
Oh,
it is.
Earl,
we
well
tried
done.
this.
Ta-da.
So now it's taken over the entire screen.
Oh, that's good.
That's
But
fine.
that's the way it goes when a screen share happens. And so anyway, it's kind of nice. There's like some nice graphics and things. And as I'm scrolling through, yeah, again, photos of people involved and pictures of CPUs. There's a picture of some famous Apple people down here, and yeah, it's good. I think in here there's kind of an open call here. They would like to get more stories and more people and find out more about what happened. So like if there are people who were involved or who have family members who were involved, I think these people would love to hear about it. So anyway, that was just a cool thing that popped up that I found that I think our listeners will appreciate.
Yeah, well, so and you can buy stuff from there, right? You said so. Like this may also be a good place for a gift idea,
Yeah,
given that
absolutely.
I don't think we
So
actually
there-
have one this time.
Yeah, there are
So-
T-shirts and posters and coffee mugs and tote bags and all sorts of things.
Very cool.
Pretty nice.
All right, let's see. So my thing is next here, so this is it's a thread about basically porting Doom to the Acorn BBC Master. So now this I don't know too much about this, but I do know that and I think this might actually also work on the BBC Micro. Yeah. Well, I guess I think the Acorn Master is something separate, right? There's a slightly more advanced one. I don't know. I'm not
I don't really know.
too up on these models, but one thing that they were good at, even at the time, was that they have sort of like built-in architecture for a second processor, so you can put in a coprocessor, and so I think you could get like a 68,000 for them, and like there was like a designated way that was supposed to work. I think they were pretty rare, the things that actually allowed it to work. But so what has been done here essentially is that someone took that architecture and connected it to like a modern ARM chip, so that what eventually ended up being possible to do is to actually play Doom on BBC Master or BBC Micro. So that is pretty wild. So there's a kind of a description of how that works. There's so the link I have is for it's sort of a post on retrocomputingforum.com, but I think in there there's a link to a thread on, what's the name of this place? The place where all the stuff happens, star.org UK. That's right. So that's where the forum is for much of the kind of like BBC Micro stuff. And there's a thread there talking about like how to do it, and there's also a development thread, sort of showing somebody having the idea and then working through it until it is a reality. So I thought that was pretty cool, and it was this is quite recently posted, so 12 days ago. So
That's
now
very
you
cool.
can run Doom on your Acorn.
We should point out the Stardot thing is another one of those terrible names.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not
right.
star.org.uk. It's stardot, DOT spelled out, .org. So it's stardot.org.uk. Way to think ahead in picking that name. Anyway, we'll have links in the show notes, so you don't have to type anything. But don't listen to what we say. General rule, don't listen to what we say.
So also, yeah, I guess the screen sharing thing. I'm also going to share my web browser too. There wasn't anything really interesting to look at, but I will try to do that, and then so this will keep Earl on his toes.
Well, actually, when I shared the screen a minute ago, that was actually my browser, not Jack's browser. So I don't know how to click on here to let you guys share your screen.
Oh,
You can
okay.
try it again. I'll do my best. Let me know when you click the share screen, and I'll try and make it happen.
I think I'll just leave my web browser link on all the time. Well, no, I won't. I don't know. How do I make this go away? Stop screen. Okay.
I have pre-shared the tab I will be discussing next, so to get you ready.
Okay. And so, Carrington, you are next. What?
Then you had very little time to get ready. I'm going to talk about the new type, terrible name for what I think is a terrible thing. So if you like mechanical keyboards, and you should, because the clack, 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 clack lets people know that you're a serious writer doing serious things and makes no one else be able to work around you. I love it. I miss old keyboards like that. I think I've used flat keyboards now so long that I wonder if I can go back, but I do longingly look at mechanical keyboards, but not this one. This is the thing. If you want a mechanical keyboard, but you want to be a total hipster at a cafe, then this is the product for you. New type. It's a mechanical keyboard designed ideally to start with to work with a MacBook or MacBook Pro. It's sized to properly overlay the keyboard on your MacBook. So, and it's got little T's that kind of stick down, so they'll tuck between the keys, and the keys on the MacBook, so it holds it in place, and then it sticks up a couple of centimeters. So you have this. You can't close the lid anymore. You just got this big floating mechanical keyboard that sits on top of your computer. The advantage of using this over just putting any old keyboard just on top of your computer, I have no idea. But you can put this over top of your keyboard and then bang away. It's currently I think a Kickstarter thingy, but I think it was funded. It might be the kind of thing that you want to wait to come out later. Showing on the screen now, I don't know if you can see it or not, I've scrolled down to that it's 42% shorter than standard mechanical key switches. Now, I think one of the big points of a key switch was that long motion. So they're saying what we've done is take away about half of the advantage of a mechanical keyboard, but you still get that big thick thing sticking on top of your keyboard. So it's an interesting device that's kind of targeted towards people that are old school in the keyboard needs. So I think it's got a retro element to it, but I don't know that this is something like actually useful. Like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if I got a hold of one of these and laid it down on top of my computer at a cafe and I clanked away on my mechanical keyboard, I would like the solitude of everyone else having left. I don't know. But what I found interesting about this and that I want to bring up, because it's a mechanical keyboard thing, and I think a lot of our listeners are probably interested in mechanical keyboards, forget its primary use. That is silly. Sticking on top of your keyboard in bed, like I got some photos of people, like it's ridiculous. Forget that. But it can sync to multiple devices. So you have a Bluetooth mechanical keyboard, albeit a flat one, that can sync to up to 3 devices. So you could pair it with your computer, you could pair it with a laptop, and pair it with your phone and switch back and forth between them. So that's kind of nice. And I wonder if maybe something like this as a keyboard paired to a tablet to make it a portable. So instead of placing it on top of a laptop, you just use it as the keyboard paired to an iPad or an Android tablet and use that as a mechanical keyboard enabled laptop. That might have some interest to to our listeners. So that's the main reason I actually brought it up, is perhaps that would be useful. Is that more useful than just any old mechanical keyboard with Bluetooth? I don't know. I suspect not, but it's a new device. It's got mechanical in its name, and so I'm bringing it up, and we're going to have links. And then you can mod it, because we say that's okay to do.
That's right.
Cool. It's interesting. When I first saw it, I thought what this was doing was actually that when you hit the keys, it was pressing the keys beneath it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so terrible."
I would have been on board with that. That would have been amazing. Why use your own fingers? Don't have your fingers touch it.
It would have worked so terribly, but having seen it, it's like, okay, this is something. And what I wonder about, it talks about the height of the keys being 42% smaller. It doesn't say that the travel distance is smaller. Maybe
Excellent.
the key moves just as far. It's just that the overall package is smaller.
I love it. I like
hope
it.
so.
I hope so too, because it could just be like thinner plastic or something like that. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. Excellent.
Did you notice the price of this at all in your
$1 million, but they're hipster dollars, so I don't think
well.
they correspond to real things. I don't know. Up here, USD, I can switch to Canadian. Doesn't tell me much. Let's add it to the cart. I have no idea. I have no idea how to buy this thing.
Well, the Kickstarter campaign is coming soon, so maybe it actually
Oh, that's why. Okay.
isn't even available at all.
I would like to point out that I think Earl's got the whole streaming thing working, right? Like it's actually showing my tab.
It is. I see.
It is. Yeah.
Earl,
I
well
figured it
done
out.
you.
It's very cool. This StreamYard thing, and the keyboard. Everything is cool.
Right. Well, okay. So I guess we can move on to the next cool thing. Still 6502, but not. Anyway, different platform. So,
I'm in the dark here.
nice, Jack. Go.
Yeah. So this popped up for me on YouTube. Somebody was showing that there is a Commodore 64 program hidden on a vinyl LP as an Easter egg that somebody made 35 years ago. So basically, when you're on an old vinyl record, when you play past the songs, there's like the section where the needle goes in towards the middle, towards the paper label, and then kind of stops and usually automatically goes back up. So down in there's a certain spot where past that section, which I think they call it like they call it the run out or something, the spot after the songs. If you can actually have a record player where you can force the arm to not back up and go back to the beginning again, or go off to the side, you can actually put it onto a groove that is past that. And somebody did this and pulled the data off this, digitized it onto a cassette, or actually no, they just recorded it from the LP onto a cassette, and they were able to pop that into a data set and load it into a C64. Kind of neat. It's not like it's a very small program. I think it's less than a 1K. It's a pretty small thing. And it was just kind of like an Easter egg for the band. This was a Christian rock band called Prodigal. Prodigal.
Was it
I think
a literal
Prodigal.
Easter egg?
Prodigal.
The Prodigal band. They so they had an album called Electric Eye that contained this. And the guys in the band didn't write this. Like they had a friend or they knew somebody who could do this for them. And so whoever did this, whoever made this video said they also tracked down one guy in the band who said like he had not seen this program running since the record was pressed. So kind of
Pretty
cool.
wild.
Kind of cool old thing. Like I've heard of things like programs being broadcast on the radio that you could record onto your audio tape and then play on your computer back in the 80s, but I've never heard of a program being pressed into vinyl. It's pretty interesting. It's a pretty fun video.
Yeah, that's cool. I haven't watched it. I will have to watch it. There used to be at least for a little while, these like flexi discs that would come with I forget. There was a magazine that had them. Interface Age maybe had a couple of these, where it would be just like a word processing program in BASIC or something that you had this like square, floppy record.
Right.
I think you had to put something heavy on it so that it didn't like fly away.
Right. Well, this was
Yeah,
an
that's
actual honest to goodness vinyl LP by a band, and they just had a wild idea. Let's stick a C64 program at the end of our album.
That's right. And see if anyone ever sees it. And
Yep.
they'd come to the realization that probably nobody ever would until.
Right.
Well,
That would
the
be-
other
it'd be
interesting
so
thing
fun to
is,
find.
I'm not sure that a Commodore user would even know what a C64 program sounds like, because the way that the data set connects up to the Commodore, you never hear the audio of the program coming through. So, yeah, it's interesting this was ever even found at all.
Yeah, true.
Or
And
the
when
pirates.
in this YouTube video, when they played back that sound, like it did not sound like anything I've heard. I mean, it's characteristically similar to like the Atari cassette sounds in a way, in the sense that it is, ridiculous, unintelligible screeching, but it was a different tonal quality than
That sounds like track 2, right?
yeah. So anyway, it was kind of fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, excellent. That's cool. All right, I guess so. The next thing I have is just it's barely anything, but it was making the rounds. So I assume almost everybody in the world knows of XKCD, but I think it's actually still the most recent one. It's called emulation, and it basically shows somebody at their computer, the computer saying, loading, please insert disk and drive A, and the guy says, there you go. Thank you. This disk is incredibly fast, because and the caption, not the whatever you call it, the floating text, but the caption says, "I feel weird using old software that doesn't know it's being emulated," because it's like oh my god, like how is this disk so quick? How is President Reagan? But anyway, I think it got shared around a lot in our circles because it's it's so us. It's pretty funny. And actually, I forget I didn't look at the hover text. Oh, yeah. The hover text says, I laugh at the software as if I'm 100% confident that it's 2019. But it reminded me a little bit. So I'm sure we talked about this at the time and probably a couple times since, but Mark Pilgrim at Kansas Fest 2014 did a little thing where he was he presented emulator detection. Basically, he wrote a program that would report what emulator it was running in. Like it was an Apple II program that could detect the universe outside of it. Very interesting.
That's pretty amazing. How do you do that? With some sort of timing analysis, or
It's
certain things at certain places in the memory space, or that's cool.
It's amazing. Yeah. So he analyzed some of the various behaviors of the different emulators to do this. One of the things that he relied on, for some of them at least, had to do with how you write stuff out to disk. So disk images on a lot of these emulators were pretty underspecified. They had just the data, not the like all the sort of address marks and timing bits and stuff like that are actually on a real disk. And so the emulators would fill those in. But they would fill them in a consistent way, and different emulators would fill them in different ways. So that was part of what he was using, was just sort of detecting what the timing bits were, or how many nibbles were on a track or something like that, in order to decide, like, okay, well, this is the whatever Apple Win emulator. But it's just magic, because it's a program that you could run on any computer, and it can tell, like, okay, well, this is real hardware, or this is Virtual 2 or whatever. It doesn't seem like it's possible, but he pulled it off, and I think everybody's jaw hit the ground. So
Nice.
reminded me of that. Okay, let's see. So next thing, I guess that's the end of the news. We have a couple of upcoming shows. I think they're upcoming still. Yes. Okay. So WASFest 14.25045 megahertz. I think we announce these fairly regularly, and every time they go. I don't know if there actually was a 13. I'm not sure if this, but at any rate, the numbers go up, and then they try to think of some sort of like Apple II connection, and I forget what this is, but I think it's like the crystal speed or something that runs the timing. Does anyone know what that is? 14.25045.
Do not know.
Anyway, somebody does. But anyway, it's in Sydney, November 23rd, 2019. It's actually, just it's kind of a little gathering, but we announce it because they tell us to. Also, 2 VCFs coming up. So, VCF Pacific Northwest. Is that really in March? I thought
It
that
is.
just happened. Did it not just happen?
I don't think so.
All right, well, at any rate, it'll happen again, March 21st to 22nd in Seattle at the Living Computer Museum and Labs. And VCF East is coming up in Wall, New Jersey, April 24th to 26th. So, some time to plan still. And I think last time we apologized for failing to even mention VCS, whatever it is, Midwest. What is that one? the one that we forgot.
Midwest,
I
right?
forget. Yeah. But anyway, okay. Anyway, that's what we have on our list. If you have things we should announce, send them to us, and we probably will announce them.
Probably.
Yeah. And with that, a word from our sponsor. All right. Somehow this does feel a little clunkier than when I'm not trying to watch everything at once. But
I think what I'm doing is I'm just kind of ignoring the StreamYard window most of the time.
I keep forgetting that tab's even open. I'm like, oh, right, there's a camera live. Hopefully, I've not done anything I shouldn't have done.
yeah, exactly. That's I try to at least keep it visible for that reason. Doesn't look like there are comments coming in. So.
No.
Well, yeah,
Abby's
but we'll
still
have the
there. Hello,
video
Abby.
up there, like, in perpetuity.
Uh-oh.
That's true.
I just wanted to use that word.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Bingo.
Breaking out the big
Okay,
words.
Okay, let's see. I think so. Is it worth it to continue sharing the screen? Maybe.
Sure.
Sure, if you got something. to
Especially
share.
for eBay stuff.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah, that's what I
especially
was
the
thinking.
eBay stuff will be interesting. It'll be much better than just talking about stuff. We can actually
indeed.
people who are paying attention to the stream can actually see it also.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to start opening tabs and then. And so the tote bag. Nice. Okay.
Make some friends.
All right. I'm going to open all the tabs and then. I'd just as soon not share the screen that has the show notes on it. So
Sure, that makes sense.
I have to try to.
Well, you can.
What I did was I shared a
can pick.
particular tab.
Oh, can you do that?
Yeah. When you go to share, instead of picking, you can have an application screen or just a tab. So I've shared a tab, loaded all my eBay stuff in that, so I can just go next, 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 and put it all into history, and I've backed up again. So ideally, fingers crossed, I should be able to cycle through them. We'll see how that works.
Interesting. That sounds very complicated. How did you have time to do that?
I ignore you guys while you're speaking.
Yeah, I see.
How do you think I had time? Dude, I've been doing laundry.
All right. Yeah, this is. Everybody has had way too many things here. All right. Let me
Not
just-
me. I've been very conservative on my eBaying.
Nice. Okay, I'm going to share application window, Chrome tab. That's cool. I think I'm gonna mess around with the Chrome tab thing some other time, but I think that might be the way to do it. Okay. Where are we now? And we're back. So, the host's retro computing gift idea, you might have heard us have this idea just earlier in this episode, but it is something from the team6502.org shop. We will suggest Moss 6502 tote. It actually looks quite cool, I have to say.
Do you want to try and share that?
Yes, we can try to share that. It is on my shared tab. So, look at that. When I scroll, it scrolls. That's neat. But so it's a tote bag. It says MOS. It shows a white ceramic 6502 and then says 6502. I don't really know why the dot is filled in, but I guess that's supposed to look like the MOS. But 2250, you can get a shoulder tote. 2230, sorry. 40% off with a code that ends today. But it may say that every day.
And what do you mean by today?
Yeah, well, exactly. I do kind of wonder if this is like going on a business sale, where it's just what in perpetuity?
It's a going out for business sale.
Right. Anyway, it looks cool. So if you wanted to get something to attract the attention of people wider than just the people who knew old Apple II software, you can get a 6502 bag. Maybe Carrington can get one of these for his other arm.
Making more friends.
That's right. Or, well, yeah.
Look at me using plural on that like a big optimist.
I like it, though. I think it's cool. This is actually, let's see. This is hosted on a Zazzle site, but was this linked actually from the 6502?
Yes.
Or did I? Okay. Nice. I guess there's no reason that they need to also be able to make bags and things. So, but get this, looks cool. And then now we can turn to the eBay auctions. Carrington has done what I usually do and picked like 9 different things.
I picked all the things.
Yeah. So
But I'm going to go through them really quickly. A bunch of things caught my eye. My suggestion, as usual, is don't buy any of them. I've shared the screen. We'll see if Earl's got the... Oh, look, he's got the screen up. Masterman. So the first one is $99, buy it now, Apple Macintosh SE that may or may not be working. That's not why this is interesting. Why this is interesting is if you look at the little pictures, it comes with one of those swivel stands. Those things usually go for more than this auction's going for. So forget the SE. If you're looking for one of those swivel stands, which are outrageously priced on eBay for some reason, this might be a way to pick one up more cheaply. So you'll get an SE, you'll get rid of the SE, you'll modify it into not working,
right.
and then you'll have yourself a stand. So if you're looking for a Mac swivel stand, this is a stealth way to get one. So that was my first choice.
Yeah,
Cool.
It's pretty yellow.
It's
pretty yellow.
But you'd retrobrite it or paint it or whatever. Also, these stands, I don't know why they shouldn't be as expensive as they are, because it's just a stinking stand. You should be able to find something else, popping up on a pile of books or something. I don't know. I had one of these stands when I was rocking an SE way back in the day, and I did quite like it. So I guess if I had an SE now, I would want one of them, but I don't know that I would spend $100 even on them, let alone this. So, Paul, do you have 4 or 5 of these?
No, actually, I don't think I have any of the stands. I have many SEs.
Well, there you go. You got to get yourself many stands.
Right.
So that's my first choice. Buy it now. Don't buy it for the thing they're selling. Buy it for the thing that comes with the thing they're selling. Choice number 2, which hopefully will fast forward. Does it not? Oh, I think because I clicked that picture, I ruined all my work. Okay, so we'll go back and pick on choice number 2. Don't worry, Earl. I got this, yo. I will get good at this, folks, after we've done these for a while. So choice number 2 is what is claimed to be a new, never used Quadra 650. We all know I like the Quadra 650. Here's one still in bag, but also comes with a box. So I'll show you the other pictures.
That's nice.
Look, yeah, exactly. So it is a very nice looking Quadra 650. There it is in its box. So I think the person took it out of the box. I think this probably was used and has been packed back up. But that said, this is probably the nicest looking 650 I've seen. So if you're looking for one, it's got 5 bits at the moment, 4 days to go. So it will already be over by the time you hear this. But for those of you watching us live on YouTube, hello, Abby, then this will be the reason why you want to watch us live on YouTube. You get to hear our fumblings, but you also get to snag the auctions that have expired by the time the audio comes out. So there's your reason. 290 is what it's up to now. I suspect it'll go higher. At 290, I think this would be a total bargain because it's a nice computer. Is this the one that the computer you tried to get, Paul, and then it arrived smashed?
No.
It was a 630?
Oh, what was it? It was geez, now I'm not remembering. It was one you recommended as being like I don't know, I'm trying to
I think
remember
that's the 630, the one that can be a whole bunch of different stuff and run the Apple II card and stuff. Yeah. So the 650 is a nice Mac 2 from that period, but it's more that just like if you want a 650, this is a really nice one. About the nicest I've seen come up on eBay. So
yeah, I'm trying to remember. As I absolutely had a Quadra 650, like as my actual computer
Right.
when I was doing, back when it
ooh,
was,
there it is, beauty shot.
Yeah. and it has the CD caddy.
Yes, love a caddy.
Yeah. But I'm trying to remember what. Yeah, that's right. I had this, and then I don't think I converted it. I think I may have traded it for a Power Mac 7100.
Okay,
But
probably a good choice.
I liked it. Oh, I liked it. It was nice.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
a
have this
nice. It's
nostalgia
from the
for it.
period of a nice. It's like got nice industrial design to it. You get both the CD and a floppy, so it's in that era where you're getting both of those. So it opens up a lot of gaming things for early Macs. It's not the greatest early Mac, but it's a nice one, and this is in very nice condition. And this has the kind of video out like an RGB thing, or rather a regular VGA thing. So it's, as far as I remember, so it's very easy to hook this kind of Mac up to modern monitors. So pretty nice as an old gaming Mac. Next up, we have. There we go. We've got the original QCat. So that's useless hand scanner thing. Here's a picture of the scanner. So remember this thing? Paul, how many of these do you have?
I think I've actually managed to avoid, maybe 2.
Okay, so you see how it's shaped like a cat? The original QCat is actually shaped like a little cat. That's his form factor. And you could use it to scan things in Wired Magazine. This is the one for Wired Magazine subscribers. So if you are a Wired Magazine subscriber, you could right away, I guess, and get this thing. This is the box that came in. I don't see these ones that often. Now, the thing about the QCat, and which I think it says in this auction, is it relied on software that kind of doesn't run on anything modern anymore, that talked back to like a database that doesn't exist anymore. So it makes this pretty much a useless product.
Well,
But-
actually, I've got a couple of these QCats.
and do they work?
I never used them for what they were originally intended for. But what would happen is you'd scan a barcode and it would kind of go in line with your PS2 connector on your computer. So you'd get a bunch of bytes coming in, but they were mangled in some way. But somebody figured out how to reverse engineer it. So
Nice.
there was some software that would take the scan and then reverse engineer to what the actual contents were. So I was able to get it to work. So
Oh,
I could,
excellent.
Yeah. That software, I'm sure it's got to be out there on the internet somewhere that somebody could use. And you also need a PS2 keyboard connector, not
No, I don't.
USB. But, well, you may not. But if you want a QCat, you will.
I do not want a QCat, so I don't. But it's just neat. I don't see a lot of these like still. It says sealed in box, and then has a picture of it outside the box. So people they throw around the word sealed on eBay quite a bit. And it does not mean what you think it means. But I like this one because this is the QCat that actually looks like a cat. It's a cute cat. Next up, we've got 2 auctions that are paired together. Because last time I did this whole theme, I think it was the last time where I picked a year. Was that the last episode? I don't know. I went through 1972. My theme for this time was supposed to be museum stuff. I just got distracted because sometimes there's fun keywords you can search on and find things just based on a weird keyword. And so this one the keyword was museum. Sometimes you get museum qualities, museum items, whatever. And so we have a pair of 2 different auctions that are kind of related. One is this Altair 680, and it's a case. So it's not a full one. See, it's just a case. Look at that. It's case. So if you wanted to mod an Altair 680 and for some reason not destroy a real one, then here you go. You could just pick up this case for $100 and then stick any old thing in it and get yourself some blinking lights and whatever and feel like you didn't go and destroy a real one. So it was an idea. I don't know, because we're talking about modding. So are you guys going to buy it and mod it into things?
No, but it's so pretty.
It is so
I really
pretty,
like
right? Because
this
it's
blue.
new. Like it's super new. It's as new gets. Now,
Yeah.
these aren't lights. These are just holes drilled in the front of the case. So, supply all your own blinking lights. But Halloween just passed, but this would have made a very cool pumpkin. Stick some candles behind there, stick it out front. All the little retro nerds will come and be your friends. They'll say, "Do you have any tote bags?" You say, "Yes, I do." And you'll be friends and have marshmallows, and it'll be great. Just saying. That's how friends are made, apparently. So this is what you would buy for $100 if you wanted to mod the heck out of it and not have nerds mad at you. This next one is what you would buy for a little more money, $800, and mod the heck out of it if you want them to be mad at you. This is an actual Altair 680, and it's a museum demo. I don't know what that means. Why is it a museum demo? But it's the one that came up when I was searching on museums. It's in nice shape, so it's look at that. What a nice looking 680. The 680 was not a useful computer then. It is not a useful computer now. This is my opinion. But this is a particularly nice looking one with all the little switches and all the little lights. This would make a really nice pumpkin, is what I'm saying.
I don't think it has. Does it? It may not actually have the computer in it.
Oh,
That
does
may
it
be
not?
what the demo part.
Oh, maybe. Does it show? Oh, look at that.
Oh,
That's about what came with the 680, I think. You're right. It is strictly little things that would light up. You would power it, and then those are going to light. That's just as useful. I think if a lot of people had a 680 and they had this, they really wouldn't be able to tell the difference. It is an empty box. I love it.
Which is
$800 empty box, which was, I believe, the original marketing slogan. Next up, we have another two pair of ones that go together. The first is, on my keyword museum, a museum graphic. What makes it a museum graphic? I don't know, but it's this thing, this little graphic here, which I really like. See if we can zoom in on it. No, we can't. Sorry, dudes. But it's the Galavan computer, which was a portable laptop that failed. Portable laptop as opposed to those non-portable laptops, and it failed miserably. So this must have been one of their advertising things that showed how do you shrink like a big computer like this down to a little computer like that with a bunch of cute animals. I think it's an adorable print, and so it's nice. I think if you had a retro collection or something like that, you can see behind me that I don't, but for $200 buy it now. It's a really nice print, and it's relatively large, 28 by 38 inches, so it's a neat little collector print. Now, are you guys aware of the Galavan laptop?
Not at all.
I've never heard of that before. No.
Exactly. So I went down a whole rabbit hole reading about it, and after reading about it, went back on eBay to see. I wonder. Yep, there's actually one for sale at the moment on eBay, so I'll show you what it looks like. This is the Galavan computer. Looks like a case there, but hold on. We'll switch through to show it. Show the front. There, look at that. Big old keys, flip up screen. And it was a complete failure. Somebody, John C. Dvorak, wrote, I'll put a link into it. On his blog, he wrote a nice article called Whatever Happened to the Galavan Mobile Computer, and talked about this thing that I'd never heard of before. So it turns out there's a fellow named, this came out in 1982. And so, I mean, look at this form factor. It looks like a modern type of flip-up laptop with a keyboard in front of a screen. I mean, this is, as John C. Dvorak says, this comes out at like the time when you've got maybe the Osborne 1 and you've got the Model 100 from TRS-80. You don't have laptops that look like this. Like, how could this be a failure? Well, a guy named Manny Fernandez, who was the president of Zilog, him and a fellow who was like the director of software from Zilog, John Banning, they left to found this company and put out this laptop. They recruited 2 former Apple programmers and 3 people from Xerox Palo Alto, the park, Palo Alto Research Center, to put together this amazing computer. Announced it, and because they were thinking, look at how well the Osborne 1 is selling, there must be a massive desire for portable computers. And Dvorak's thinking is they were misunderstanding what people really wanted from the Osborne 1, which was a cheap desktop computer, because it was bundled with such great software. It was kind of cheaper to buy the computer than just the software that came with it, and that was the real appeal. Now this has, down here in front, a touchpad. So there is a keyboard, a 16-line LCD screen, and then in front of it, a touchpad. Crazy that this thing came out in 82. But the thing is, it didn't come out in 82. It had major problems, and they couldn't get it out. And they couldn't get it out in like 83 either. Then they could barely get it out, I think, by June 1984. So you can imagine the marketplace had changed considerably by the middle of 1984 when this thing came out at many, many, many thousands of dollars. I think it was $4,000, $5,000, something like that. So it would be hard to push this as a $5,000 massive, heavy, lumpy laptop in 1984 versus in early 1982. Now, the thing is, I'd never heard of this laptop before. Company went under. They could barely sell any of these things. The ones they sold, they couldn't really create any. So somebody bought up a big stockpile of parts from the public auction after the company went under, and then they used all those parts to assemble machines that they then sold for $800 in 1986, I think it was, and they opened locations to do this and had like 12 branches in 1986 selling computers they were putting together from parts they got from the going out of business auction from the company. So none of this was something I had known before. I found the whole thing remarkably fascinating, and right now it's buy it now for $1334.99, And I think Paul should start a collection of these things.
This is quite wild. Yeah, actually it reminds me a little bit of the Osborne Vixen. Looked a little bit like this when it was.
Oh, I don't know the Vixen.
But
But if you see a side thing, you see how thick this computer is.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah. I guess from the side it doesn't really look that much like a Vixen. Never mind.
But down here we've got a composite video out. I mean, it looks like a cool computer. It probably had a bunch of neat tech in it. Just, they misunderstood the marketplace and were 3 years too late to market, and I'd never heard of them because of it. So probably a fairly rare one. This is serial number 71 of the computer, so that might be the last one ever made. Who knows? Might be actually a very high serial number for this. I don't know. I thought it was a neat computer. It's one of the neat things about eBay. You start searching for weird terms, and you can go down a rabbit hole learning about computers you've never even heard of before. And I got one last auction to share with everybody. This is a fun one. It is a mainframe computer control panel for a big IBM mainframe, big metal thing with a bunch of buttons and switches. But this is super fun because of a particular part of it where it's got suppress punch button. So it's a little toggle to suppress punching. And I've got some friends, Quinn, I'm looking at you, that this would be awesome. I might bring this to Kansas Fest and I can throw the suppress punching switch and then she can't hurt us.
That's very cool.
Yep. I think it's
also
neat.
the switch to turn on and off the punch supply. I see.
Right, exactly. So it's a whole bunch of punching. It's just like, this is a cool thing. Like, this is a front panel. There was that, the Altair 680 we just looked at, which would be kind of a neat box. Both of them turned out to be boxes to use as a project box. This would be a very fun project front end. Got a bunch of lights, got some neat switches, really cool labels. Having this as something that controls the light switches in your house or turns you to party mode or whatever, this would be fun. So I would like to acquire something like this as just a control panel thing. Problem is, it's in Australia and it's basically $500 and it's a big metal thing. So not something I'd be acquiring. But if Michael was here, maybe it's something he could pick up for himself. There's the back.
Neat.
Very cool. All right.
Yep.
I'm gonna see if I can. My audio is sounding quite terrible. I'm gonna see if I can possibly hear with something else because I could barely hear what was happening there. So, let me see if I can. I'm gonna try the wired headphone and see if that actually helps. Sorry about this. Output. External. Okay. I think that. Somebody say something.
Something.
Okay, that sounds way better. So I think I'm gonna no longer rely on my battery powered audio devices. Anyway, okay, so I heard about the punch button, but only kind of choppily.
Punch, punch, punch.
Yeah. All right, and Earl, you have exactly one eBay auction.
I do.
Slacker.
Out.
And let's see if I can manage to somehow talk about the auction and share my screen and control the StreamYard all at the same time. I doubt it.
Ooh, we wish you luck.
Yes.
So we're going to try, though. All right. You guys let me know if you can see my screen. Is it coming up? Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So this is what I was talking about when I mentioned an irreversible mod. My eBay auction is a Commodore 64 keyboard that has been both refurbished and had its aesthetic change. It's been painted green, and I actually think it's gorgeous. Let me bring up a big picture here. So this is from Darth Skalmar's Retro Garage, which is just an awesome name anyway. But if you look at the keys, you'll see they're painted green, but with a clear coat so that you can still see all of the letters and all of the Petsky symbols and the key markings and everything.
This is a
like
great
that.
looking keyboard.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of vintage computer keyboards were kind of boring, both in terms of colors and layout. And honestly, you know, the Commodore 64 with just the beige color, it wasn't too attractive. I think this really takes it up to the next level. The other thing that they've done with this keyboard in this auction is to refurbish it, cleaning all the contacts. If there were any rusted out springs, they've replaced them. So the keyboard is tip-top shape functionally, but also has this cool green look. So I'll cycle through some of the other pictures here. This really close up, you can see that the key markings are really consistent. It doesn't look like it's washed out or splotchy based on the coloring that they've applied to these keys. So I think, at least from these pictures, it looks like they did a really nice job. So this auction was $99, and I like it. And this is one of those mods that I would not regret doing, or regret that somebody else did and then sold it to me.
Right. These, I mean, this
It looks very
these
cool.
practically look new. I mean,
Mhm.
like, I wouldn't have, I wouldn't know that these weren't just like newly fabricated.
Yep.
Like to me, I feel like most of the C64 keyboards that I've seen, I feel like the graphic symbols for what the graphics characters are kind of like not on the top of the key, but on the front or on the
Oh, yeah.
down side, where they're just different models that some had
On the down low.
them on the top like this also.
There were. Yeah.
Okay.
I know what you mean, though. The keys on the graphic Petsky symbols on the front as opposed
Yeah.
to up underneath the letter. Yeah, it depended on the model.
Interesting. So like the ones that had them on the top like this, were these earlier ones or later ones or?
I could
Do you know?
swear that the PET keyboard that I have for the PET 2001, the 2001 model that I have isn't the chiclet. It's the one with that actual full stroke keyboard. And I think the graphic symbols are on the front, if I remember
Okay.
right.
Anyway, it looks really cool. I actually also really love the color.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like tempted to click the button here.
Do it. Do it.
And I mean, this sort of irreversible. Like, this is fine. It's what it looked like before was probably terrible. So, although I mean, I guess maybe not.
Well,
actually,
that's
if
true too. It could have been dirty, could have been slightly discolored, and now it looks nice and new and it functions nice and new.
It's
What's
such a
the point of
fluorescent
the
green.
solid?
It looks like it would glow in the dark.
Now that
wonder
would
how they
be
did
really
this.
cool.
Yeah, glow in the dark paint would be cool on something like this. Get those newfangled light up keys. Yeah, this'll do you.
I'm now just kind of puzzled by how this, because aren't these keys brown, like usually? So did they bleach them first? I wonder. Very weird. Anyway, whatever it is, it looks cool, and it would look cool on your Commodore 64, and
Yep.
maybe it's actually just magic.
Magic.
Okay, let's see. So I have a pile. For some reason, I've actually been fairly good. I think in recent years to like not go all Apple all the time, but for some reason I just caved in this time. So, and this is a lot of just sort of random things that seemed kind of interesting. But so the first one is it's a set of 4 magazines. Oh, am I not sharing? I'm not sharing. There's a way to share. Let me
Share,
see if I can
Paul.
do this application window.
Sharing is
this.
caring.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. I think I turned off my sharing in an attempt to like oh, you can see my tabs. Okay, so
I think F11 will deal with that, right?
yeah, it probably doesn't matter that you can see iMicro, but let's see. Let's get rid of that. There it is. Slightly bigger. But anyway, so it's 4 vintage Apple computing magazines from the 80s, and they're basically just sort of like pretty much random. So there is an A Plus magazine, which was, and it looks like that's the Apple IIc Plus there on the front. So it's, in fact, that's what it says. So it's from that era, kind of late Apple. There's a 2 Alive magazine from 1994, about the Apple II and the internet.
Alive.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty interesting. Pretty late. And then 2 Softline magazines, which were sort of like, I think it was by the same publisher who made Soft Talk magazines, but this was sort of game oriented. So you have Bill Budge on the cover of one, and I don't know who's on the cover of the other one. But so it seems like if you're gonna get 4 random magazines, these might be actually kind of cool. It's not very expensive, $12. Buy it now. I don't actually think I have. It's possible that I don't have any of these 4. I'm sure that they're all scanned out there somewhere. But at any rate, if you are interested, and $12 4 random magazines. There they are. Okay. So there's a set of things that's actually being sold by this seller. I don't know offhand who this is, but anyway, same sellers for a couple of these things. This first one it says Vintage Original Apple II Personal Computer System Specification Booklet, and it's basically just a 3-hole punched little booklet. It says Apple II on the front. And oh, that's interesting. Actually, I've just flipped to the back, and the back apparently it was up against an ad which had an iron-on it that said Pascal spoken here. And you can see that the ink has kind of bled through. There was I forget where, there were maybe a couple of issues of Byte, I think, perhaps, that had
Yeah, but
this
it's
ad.
weird that it's not reversed.
It's reversed. Yeah, it's reversed.
It
on the
should be a
actual
mirror
thing.
image if it was against the ad and then pulled off.
Yeah, but the ad is reversed. If you go look at the ad, it like if you're holding the magazine, you will see that the letters are in reverse.
Oh,
So-
why was that?
so that they would be right side up when you applied it to the shirt. Right.
Oh, it's a shirt. Got
So
it.
so the ad was an iron-on shirt transfer.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
missed that part.
That's crazy.
But and
I
apparently
think
this thing is.
this should increase the value.
I think it should. Yeah. But okay, so let's see. We have so it says Apple Computer 77890M, which I think means that it was published in July 1978. 90M might be how many they. I don't know. I don't know what that indication is. I've seen that on a lot of these old documents, though. 1978, though, that's the important thing. This is really old. This is it's a little specification sheet that they sent out to people. It's, I don't know, I can't quite see how many pages it is, but it's probably something like 8 or something. Talks a little bit about the basic and the memory and stuff in it. This is actually, it's got a starting bid of $20 basically. This is a real historic document, though. So I don't, unless nobody notices this, then I suspect this would go for more. This is actually a pretty nice thing. So
I saw you hover over the place bid button. On
yeah, right, exactly.
Hover?
Yes, I think we had this discussion once before. It went into hoovering and all kinds of things. But anyway, yeah, I think this is actually a fairly interesting and rare document.
Are you going to get it? Are you going to scan it? Are you going to make T-shirts out of it?
I don't know. If I do bid on it, I'm going to snipe it. I'm not going to bid now. It's possible actually that there's a chance that this episode will go out before the thing ends.
Well, the YouTube video certainly will.
That's right. So, so Carrington has found the Pascal Spoken Here T-shirt ad. Let me see if I can make it come up on my.
I want the shirt.
Yeah, I don't know if I've actually seen anyone. Oops, what have I done?
What have I done?
Oh no, what have I done? Copy link URL. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if I do this. Yeah, there we go.
Bingo.
So this is, and I think somewhere there's actually a picture of somebody wearing the shirt, looking very 1970s. But anyway,
Pascal was such a weird thing. Like, it's a language, but it was also an operating system. And
yeah.
I like the language, but it's a weird OS.
Okay, let's see. So historical booklet. The same seller has another thing which I think is actually kind of rare. It's sorry, I forget that people are watching me wave this thing around. But so this is a Apple User Group newsletter. So Contact was the name of it. It was a little publication that they made. I think there were probably 8 or 9 of them before it got folded into just basically part of a magazine called Apple Orchard. But so this is a sample demo issue of Contact 5. And I think that's interesting because, Contact 5, all of these issues are relatively rare. I mean, they're 1979, basically. So there weren't many of them. The Apple community was fairly small. But this is not only Contact 5, this is like the sample edition. So probably extra rare. $20 buy it now. I have not decided to buy it, but I could.
What's fun about this is I spent a lot of time in publishing, weirdly, but through coupons, through a family business. So, and did a lot of hand paste up of stuff. And absolutely, that's how this was done. It's so neat to look at something and go, this is done before desktop publishing.
Yeah.
This was done as hand paste up and stuck on things, and then you take a shot of it to make the negative and make the plate. So it's kind of neat to see something made by a very large company, but that was clearly done using paste up stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Though it wasn't very large then, really. I mean, this is
Oh, that's true.
before the disk drive, even. So I think Contact, maybe it isn't quite before the disk drive, but I think Contact 2 was the one that had the the announcement of the disk 2 on it. So anyway, interesting sort of old things. And continuing in my looking at old Apple stuff, there's not a particularly nice edition of Apple II Business Graphics, but I thought, I don't know, I felt sort of bad about it. I felt sort of like I pitied it a little bit. So, because it looks nice, but I mean, realistically, who would want the Apple II Business Graphics box? You only want it to collect it because it looks nice and it's old. But it is nice. I mean, they made these sort of nicely boxed up things. And I thought this was at least a sort of an interesting example of one of these things. I don't know that anyone would ever actually use it for anything. But there you go. Its starting bid is $10. So it's not, it's not a lot of investment for something that you probably would just put on your shelf.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I have only one of these.
Only one? Paul, what are you doing?
But
You got to fix that.
yeah, I think I have a fair amount of these things, and they do need preservation, but at the same time, I don't think once it's preserved, anyone's really going to use it except just to see how it worked, and then that'll be it. There will be 3 uses post 2019 total. So, okay, what else is here?
Oh, this next one is brilliant.
Yes, the way I called it was in the show notes was instant infestation. It is 30 Apple M0100 mice.
That
they're
all
very
look
nice
brand
looking.
new.
Yeah, they might actually be. They're unyellowed, which is interesting. Yeah, they look totally new. I don't know why they're unyellowed. Because they should be, right? I mean, they're gray. We know that there are many different flavors of MO100
From that,
from Charles Mankin's talk.
yeah, exactly. So that's how I learned like that number doesn't narrow it down at all.
Yeah.
But these are totally the platinum color, and they look
Yeah.
brand new.
It's not super cheap, but I mean, there are 30 of them for $200. That's
So is that
starting
that
bid.
DB9 version? So which of the Macintoshes would this connect up to?
I think it would probably connect up to the very first one, the 128, and it would work on the Lisa as well. And like Apple IIs.
Yeah, so it's an odd color then, if it's the platinum color and it was aimed at those computers.
Yeah. Well, so this might have been actually for the first Mac. Maybe. I don't know. I know I got one of these that was this color scheme for the Lisa. Like when I bought a Lisa 2, but it didn't have a mouse, so I bought a mouse, and it doesn't look like it fits quite color-wise, but
You have only one. You don't have 30.
I did not have 30. I think
Oh.
I might actually only have one of this color.
Oh, Paul, you must be tempted then.
Yeah. Anyway, pretty cool. Let's see what's next. Oh, okay. So this one. This is the same seller actually as Carrington. You had a couple of these. Vintage Computer Museum. I have yet to make up my mind about this seller. However, it says rare Apple logo writer software, never used, and this caught my attention because I knew people were looking for this. Like logo writer is something that it's like something that people don't have for some reason on the Apple. So I thought, oh, geez, I should buy this rather than talk about it on this big public forum. But when I looked at the pictures, it seems like it is actually I mean, the disk that we see and the manuals that we see say MS-DOS computers. But what it is basically an interface for the Lego stuff. So there's a TC logo that you can get for operating the Lego things on an Apple II. And this is a different, basically just like a different platform. So I think it might still be Logo based. I mean, it's called Logo Writer, but it's not quite the same. And so I think if this was the Apple one, this is something that somebody should get, possibly me. But
it's not though. I don't see the word Apple anywhere on it.
Right. So nowhere in any of the photos does it say Apple. In the title it says Apple. The description says this package has never been used, only open for pictures. So I guess I would assume that the pictures that we have are the pictures of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the MS-DOS one. And I don't think that one is I think that one is not lost. So, however, if you know differently and are listening to this and it's still available, it actually is kind of cheap if it is something lost like that. So, anyway, I guess I'm just sort of saying this to the world in case someone out in the world recognizes
world.
this is something that we need. All right, shall I keep going?
Yes,
Only a couple more.
do it.
So this is the next thing I picked is an Apple MIDI interface, and I picked this partly just because I thought, I've never used MIDI for anything, and I can't quite figure out if I would, but I kind of want to. So have any of you used MIDI for anything at all?
I'll answer on behalf of everybody. No.
I have a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
back when I had an Atari ST, and that was one of the features that it had built-in MIDI ports. It's one of the things you could do. You could chain them together to play a game called Mini Maze, which was this 3D sort of maze hunt thing, finding each other in a maze.
Ah.
I did that once, and I had a MIDI keyboard that I could use as input to a sequencer program that I used very, very little.
My problem is I'm biased against MIDI because I know what it really is an interface thing. So you could hook it up to sequencers and keyboards and run real band stuff and make amazing music. But my experience with MIDI are you download little MIDI song files and you play them on your computer, and it's really bad versions of music.
Oh,
And
that,
beep,
yeah.
boop, boop, boop.
Yeah.
And so when I hear MIDI, I just think, oh, it's that terrible sounding
Yeah.
music stuff.
Well, that's general MIDI. General MIDI was a definition of
General MIDI?
sounds for this channel number equals this instrument, and then depending on what kind of sound card you had from the 90s onward, it would sound uniformly always terrible, but somewhat different from computer to computer, different between Windows and Mac, and probably you can play those probably natively on a modern Mac also with some built-in thing. That probably sounds better than it did back then, but probably still not good.
I remember trying to use MIDI for some music type applications. I had a keyboard that supported it, but one of the problems I always tended to run into, if I remember right, this is a long time ago, but it seemed like there was a lot of latency, which you kind of wouldn't expect in a musical sort of situation because, timing's everything with music, right? So it was very frustrating. I don't know if it was just my computer that was messing up or something, but I never had a very good experience with it either.
Do you remember what kind of computer or OS you were using?
It was a PC compatible of some sort with Windows.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably the problem is Windows. No, honestly, Windows in the past especially was notoriously bad at latency for any kind of audio production software. It was just a joke. It's probably better now. It's probably totally fine now. But if you're talking back in the 90s or early 2000s, it was just not architected for that at all. It just did not compute.
Yeah, that's probably what it was then.
Yeah, and I guess I keep kind of wanting to do something with this, but I don't feel like I have. I don't know, I can't play the piano really. And so I bought at some point there's a I think a relatively famous, I'm trying to remember even what is the brand, PX7 X7, something X7. There's a well-known
Yamaha
kind of
DX7.
DX7, yeah.
DX7.
Yeah.
That sounds right. It's kind of like a middle of the road synthesizer. So
MIDI of the road.
right, but it's sort of like it's professional enough that you could use it to play a show. It's not just like a little Casio thing sitting in your
No,
bedroom.
lots of bands
Yeah.
use the DX7.
Oh, yeah.
So I got a it's something else X7, which is it's like maybe it's a CX7 or something. It's basically like the generators but without the keyboard, so that I could actually plug this into something and get like that kind of DX7 sounds out.
Right.
But that's as far as I got. So I saw this and I thought, well, that'd be interesting. This particular one that I'm linking to it works on both like old Apple II GSs and Macs, like early Macs. So anyway, okay. I don't know why I picked this next one, but the next one is I guess it looks nice. It's a Deck Professional 350, and I've been kind of curious about these. I don't know very much about them, but
You picked
they
it because
look
it's
kinda
awesome.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, the Pro 350, it's basically a PDP-11 compatible system in the form of a desktop. And it has choices for the operating system that you run, and I love the look of it. That floppy drive kind of reminds me of a Deck Rainbow, that little
Right.
flip up, flip down sort of. And the keyboard in this auction, I noticed, looked just a little grungy, but the system works. They powered it up. They tested a few different things. They show you the photos. This was, man, if this was closer to me, it might already be bought.
Yeah, well, that was when I looked at it. That was part of what I was thinking, was that it works. It looks very complete. I've kind of kept an eye out for these things before, and not I haven't seen anything that looks quite this good. I mean, certainly not working. Half the time the disk drive's missing, or I think these are weird drives too. I think these drives are like nothing else. So you have to get that specific kind.
The drives even look weird, like on the front of it. Like you're earlier saying it's a flip up, flip down thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's weird because it's kind of got a round part in the middle and those little notches there. It looks like a player piano roll, which is a great way to bring data in. I would be all over it if that was the case.
It's very nice. It has manuals. Yeah, so this would be it's not expensive. It's a $300 starting bid, but you have to be in Tucson. So if you are in Tucson, perhaps that is the thing for you. Okay, let's see. And then the very last thing I have here is I wasn't going to list this, but we were talking about something. I think it was I forget what it was. The Mac, the swivel stand. I was saying it looked very yellow, and I was reminded of this auction, which has some of the most yellow computers I've ever seen.
Oh my goodness.
They're really just amazing. So this particular auction, let me go back to the description, is $2,000 starting bid. It is in Burnsville, Minnesota. It is just a tremendous amount of stuff. I'm not convinced that it is too much for what this costs, but these are all in amazingly bad sort of color shape. So there's this opening thing has an Apple III and an Apple III Plus with a profile drive of unknown size, but I mean already those things are. The Apple III Plus in particular is pretty expensive and rare. Little RAID array of floppy drives and of various sorts. This really totally just looks like my office. And a PC.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
And a hard drive you can see there on the side here. The hard drive at the bottom has, I mean, it's like a caramel colored by now.
It's like this person cooks with a lot of turmeric or something. Like this is crazy yellow.
That is really, yeah. There we go.
But also a bunch of laptops, there's a lot in this auction.
Yeah. So
Does
a
it
couple
does
Apple
it
Pluses
say
and-
if the Apple IIIs are working?
I don't. Let's see. Oh, I didn't see these. Yeah. Unbelievable. So this is basically just someone cleaning out the basement. Oh, look at that. See, those look like
man.
my SEs.
In fact, this is somebody selling Paul's stuff. Okay, I'm the one hosting this auction.
Wow.
You caught me.
Have you checked your office lately, Paul?
See, okay, actually, this thing that I'm waving the mouse around, I think that might be a swivel stand. Is it? Because, anyway, that is, it's whatever it is. It's amazingly brown.
It's yellow enough to be one.
Yeah. Anyway, I think this really is.
I think you're right. I think that's a swivel stand from above.
Yeah.
But even in fact, there's two of them.
Yeah, and one is quite not as bad.
Right.
But
One
okay,
mustard,
so-
one caramel.
Yeah, so it doesn't say anything about things working. It just kind of gives odds. It's like, well, surely something here must work.
Surely something.
But yeah, I mean, I think this it will not ship. You have to go to Minnesota to get it. You will need a small box truck or a very large van.
If you got this for $2,000, you could get your money back piecing this out. I think no problem.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff here,
Right.
IntelliVoice stuff and Mac 86 things, but it would be a lot of work to get that money back. But certainly, summer
Yeah.
hobby, you could do this and be net positive.
Yeah, I think that's true. And you could conceivably even improve things a little by retrowriting or whatever. Conceivably, I don't know. Some of this, I have really never seen anything quite as yellow as some of these things.
But they got a lot of cool like duo dock things and
Yeah.
like a lot of. Every time I look at these photos, I keep seeing another neat thing in this collection.
Yeah. So it's interesting. If you're somewhere near Minnesota, then you can check this out. But okay, enough of this. I think we've spent enough money on eBay.
Enough of this.
We can now return to. I guess we're at the closing discussions point, which is good because we're over an hour and a half by now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do we have? I wonder if anybody's watched us do this.
Pity.
Don't know.
Yeah, we had somebody at the beginning, but who knows? At any rate, we are at the closing discussions. Carrington, you are alphabetically first.
Oh, okay, sure. I have shared my screen. Only thing I'm going to talk about is my mug that I've been drinking from since it's a video thing. This, my girlfriend who lives in Canada, so you wouldn't know her. She got me these mugs from a place called Calamity Wear, or a site called Calamity Wear, and they're great. So it looks like classic blue mug thingy. I don't know if you're seeing the mug or the screen, but they sell plates and fabric and a whole bunch of things, and it's from obviously the ceramic collection, and it's these mugs here, and there's a set of 4 that I got, and I highly recommend them. So this is what they look like. So they look like classic beautiful normal sort of ceramics, but when you zoom in, you see it's
super cool.
monsters and people fleeing them and people being eaten and robots attacking and giant fish and it's just giant frog and things from the sky and people being carried away in pirate ships, and it's amazing. So very classic looking ceramics, but with just adorable and hilarious things printed on them. So it's from a site called Calamity Wear. Strongly recommend them. They're great and they bring me joy every morning with my tea. Couldn't be happier with a set of mugs. So.
I love those because they really do look like something that would be in like your grandmother's cabinet
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, in fact, I think these ones in particular are based on, there's a particular, like this style of ceramic has a bunch of classic patterns that get repeated. And I think there's one about a couple that want to get married, but they're chased kind of around in a circle and eventually turn into birds. Like it's some weird story. And I think this is based on that particular one, but instead of just being chased by a wizard and turning into birds, it's like people being chased by robots and fire and Bigfoot and dinosaurs. And it's amazing. Like just there's so many details, just delightful. And there's a whole bunch of different stuff. And so the site's called calamitywear.com, aptly named and highly recommended.
Very nice.
Excellent. Earl, do you have any closing thoughts?
Just one that I was with Randy Kindig on Floppy Days recently talking about the Epson HX20, and it was really fun chatting with him about it. And it also prompted me to drag out my HX20 and play around with it a little bit. I did discover it had a little bit of closet rot of its own. The capacitors apparently get old and they make the LCD screen look weak. And so if you want to fix it up, You got to pop it open and recap it. So we'll see if I decide to work up the courage to salvage my HX20 motherboard and try and replace the capacitors. But anyway, it was a fun show. Always fun chatting with Randy, and it was also kind of a nice prompt to get me to do some retro stuff. Another thing that I did recently was I have a Commodore SX64, one of those portables, and the keyboard had degraded to the point where it was almost useless. A lot of the keys were stubborn. If you hit them too hard, you get triple characters. So I decided to refurbish it. It's tricky because on that keyboard there's a membrane that attaches to the printed circuit board. If you want to clean it, you got to peel off that membrane, but it's really fragile. So doing it is kind of like, brain surgery. You got to be really careful or you're just going to kill your keyboard. Somehow I managed to not kill the keyboard and I got it back together and now it's like new. So yay, I was very happy. I did a refurbish without destroying the thing that I was trying to refurbish.
Nice.
Yeah, I have I've yet to even begin to diagnose this, but I have an SX64 also that the keyboard doesn't do anything. Like it's as if it is not plugged in. So
Well, if
I
it's
have-
completely broken like that, do you think it might be the cable?
right. Well, that's what I'm thinking that might be it. But at some point I want to look into that because I would I like it. I mean, I think it's kind of a neat way to use a Commodore. If you need to use a Commodore, then this is a good way to do it.
Then you're wrong.
But it's got a cool little color screen, and it's a nice thing. But right now it's just been sitting on my shelf because I can't type on it. The screen works though, so it does start. And
Yeah, and the bummer of it is, it's got kind of standard DB25 connectors on it, but the way that the connector on the computer part is recessed, some DB25s won't actually fit up into that little recessed port. So, yeah, it's a little tricky, but, the internet has answers for you.
yeah, I think I've seen some discussion of do you sort of have to shave off the edge in order to make it fit?
Yeah, just haul out the Dremel. It's all good. That's my motto anyway.
Haul out the Dremel. All right, let's see, Jack. Do you have
Yeah, I
any
don't really
closing
have
thoughts?
any other retro thoughts going on right now.
All right. I was going to mention this before and forgot, but I was going to mention that Mike Whalen has an interesting podcast which has probably reached critical mass at this point. There's enough episodes that he thought it might be worth mentioning, and now since I think we hadn't mentioned it before, I will mention it now. It's called Retro Reads, and basically what he does is finds just sort of interesting things and reads them. So it's retro computing related, but and I admit that I am not caught up on it, but there's a lot of interesting stuff here. So if you are commuting or driving or whatever and can't actually read the articles about whatever the PT boat in the DAC Winter catalog or whatever it is, Mike will have picked something interesting and we'll read it to you. And we had him once or twice on the RCR as well, so he is an alum of a sort.
Oh, and by the way, TRCWM on YouTube mentions, yes, we're still watching.
Oh,
So
cool.
somebody's eyeballing us, and we give you our most humble apologies.
Excellent. And the only other note I had, we just episode 200 just made it out onto the feed, so hooray! We are now recording 202. 201 is still on my hard drive, but hopefully these will both come out fairly soon. The other note I had was, so I'm not sure this is just me, griping in the show notes about something that was bothering me today, but so podcasts,
I've heard of them.
in a sense, the way people often listen to podcasts is you get a little thing and it will sort of stream it to you, and then it's gone. And the way most podcast apps work, they just assume that you will always be able to download a podcast, and of course that is not true. We know that is not true. There are a lot of podcasts that no longer exist at the endpoint that they used to be at, and so I would like to be able to download them and keep them. and at some point, so iTunes used to be able to do that, and I used to work with iTunes doing that, and at some point, I don't know what it was exactly, but there was something, some flag got changed or whatever, and iTunes deleted everything. It's like, great, so many of these things are no longer downloadable. So they're just either in my backups or just gone. And I think at least some of those were just gone. So then I searched around trying to find an app that would do what I want, and it seems like they don't exist really. So what I want, world, is something that I can run on a Mac connected to a big hard drive that will download the things, and keep them so that I can play them again later.
Yeah, that doesn't sound that complicated.
It doesn't. It seems like I don't understand why this doesn't work, but it seems like almost every app out there believes that the solution to not having the podcast on hand is to download it again.
Well, I'll even go one step further. I would love for a system to let me download my podcasts and keep track of my progress across devices. So if I'm on my smartphone, I'm listening to a podcast, I stop it in the middle, then I come in, I want to play it on my computer, but I want to start right back up from where I left off. And I want to keep it forever, like you're saying. I'd love to be able to do all of that. And yeah, to Carrington's point, that doesn't sound complicated at all. Somebody get on that.
What's weird to me is it seems like that's what everybody should want, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, that
Who listens
sounds
to
like
podcasts?
the most straightforward use case.
So a lot of the apps will do syncing like that, like what you're talking about, like remember across devices, even across Android and iOS. But basically, there's only one that I've really had that really seems to kind of do what I want, which is Downcast, I think is what it's called, and it's got a Mac client, and it will download things and keep them forever. But the development is kind of stalled, and the application is pretty inefficient. It's I don't know, it's just sorting lists, but it must be sorting lists in the most inefficient way possible because it eats up my battery and crashes all the time. And the thing I just don't understand is why there isn't another one that I can turn to.
Yeah, I have this problem with BBC podcasts. I listen to a lot of BBC stuff, and often it's available for a limited time. So only the latest 1 or 2 episodes are available. So once it vanishes, it'll say, "Oh, it's available online." I'm like, not for those of us outside the UK, or only for a certain time, or whatever.
Yeah.
So those in particular are ones that I would like to just download and save.
Yeah, you're right. The Car Talk used to be like that a bit, and I forget what it's called, but there's some sort of like Friday comedy thing or whatever on BBC that does that exactly what you're talking about. You have like 1 or 2, and then that's it. And even better, Downcast does not do this, but even better would be if it would collect it and then let you play it, stream it to you itself, like so you didn't have to, like I guess basically I have them on my hard drive due to Downcast, but I can't play them on my phone somewhere else.
In a sense, it would work better as like an online thing.
Yeah. So
Read
Plex
up in
needs to
Perl or
do-
whatever, just to dump it to your own server and go there. Now I'm going to subscribe to my version of it, and that thing is subscribed to your version of it.
Yeah. And
So
Plex
kind of like
almost
a
does this.
combination of Plex and a podcast app or something
Right.
like that.
Yeah. So if anyone out there
Which is
works
Plex,
for Plex,
by the way.
pressure them into getting this to work because
Yeah, pressure them.
it seems to me like it's built for this, but yet they've introduced podcasts, but they have not introduced serving them. Like you cannot download the media to your server. You can only download
Well, a lot of
it.
times ads and things, especially nowadays, are inserted on the fly. So they want you to stream it every time. So every time they're keeping track of the clicks and the links and the downloadies, and they'll get all the stats and that sweet, sweet podcast money. And also then you get those terrible ads thrown at the front of your podcast that are volume way different than the thing you're going to actually listen to. Ads are terrible. Down with consumerism. Don't buy anything.
It was actually kind of interesting when I was like when I would be in Montreal sometimes. I would get different ads stuck on the front because it knew I was in Canada. So suddenly I've got Canadian ads for like
Ugh.
and stuff.
Those are the worst.
Anyway, okay, so that was my closing shot. I guess it's sort of podcast related at least.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anything else? right, so that's it for this show. You can find the show notes for this and all the RCR shows at rcrpodcast.com. You can discuss this in the forums at vcfed.org/forum/forum.php. You can follow RCR on Twitter at RCRpodcast. You can join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/RCRpodcast. You can send feedback to feedback@rcrpodcast.com. We are a member of the Throwback Network at throwbackreviews.com. And if you'd like, you can write a review on iTunes. That's it. Yes, and then this other part that we do. And until next time,
Retro compute.
Compute.
that's cool. I forgot about that part, actually.
After
That went
200
very well.
episodes.
All right.
Okay.
Should we meet over at Skype to
Sure.
talk about the next episode? And
I guess,
set up-
yeah. Rather than broadcast.
Pick a host topic.
Yeah.
Or you
Yeah,
could just
exactly.
go offline here. We can still keep talking, right?
Oh,
Yeah, screw those listeners who've held on for
maybe.
an hour and a half. Why should we let them involved?
Well, hold on. Thanks for watching.
yeah, like,
indeed.
come
It was
on,
an
man.
interesting experiment.
Thanks, everybody.
thank you very much.
We're gonna
I think we
maybe
should let
try
them
to
listen.
alert people a little further in advance, but and maybe actually sometime I'll do this from my office where I can hold up stuff. Well, I didn't. I guess I held up stuff beforehand, and then I didn't when we were actually.
I have no
streaming
stuff to
live.
hold.
So, yeah, here's an IXO communicator of some kind that I happen to have in my.
Well, that was
It's a
worth
2C
waiting an
plus
hour and a half for.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what I have a little Pac-Man machine. I think it's actually a candy dispenser, but
I have a plant.
that's right. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.